Friend, please pause for just one moment, right here and now. The feeling you are carrying within yourself at this very instant, is it truly an absolute truth, or is it merely an illusion woven from the depths of your own soul? This question echoes in our minds like the resonant sound of a temple bell in the quiet of a serene night, touching the most profound layers of our awareness. You are sitting there, listening to this voice, sensing each beat of your heart, perhaps feeling the gentle softness of the cushion beneath your back or a sudden thought that drifts across your mind. All of these experiences seem so undeniably real, do they not? Yet, at the exact moment when we place complete trust in that obvious reality, a tiny seed of doubt quietly begins to sprout. Could everything we are experiencing be as solid and unchanging as the ground we stand upon, or are they simply fragile ripples, fleeting moments in an endless dream that has not yet concluded? We live fully immersed in sensations, breathing through them, yet we rarely stop to ask ourselves, what exactly is a sensation? The world we cling to, the things we label as reality, in the end, are constructed from countless fragments of sensory input, strung together and connected by our own consciousness. Some people believe they hold in their hands a firm foundation of truth that cannot be shaken. However, if we dare to look more closely, under the light of awakened insight, we may realize that everything is merely a picture filled with illusions, a vast mosaic where every color and every image continuously shifts and changes without ever stopping. The profound philosophy of Buddhist teachings has pointed out that the world of sensations is not an absolute truth. It is only an extremely fragile bridge, a temporary interface between this small human being and the vast universe. Let us together visualize a truly vivid scene. You are leisurely strolling through a lush green forest. Your eyes take in the endless shades of green from the leaves and trees, your ears listen to the rustling sound of dry leaves under your feet, your nose inhales the rich aroma of damp earth after a rain shower. All of these experiences combine to create a lively moment that you call real. But now look at the person walking beside you. The world they perceive might be entirely different from yours. Perhaps they are intently listening to the cheerful chirping of birds, or they are smelling the pure fragrance of wildflowers rather than the earth. Each person's world of sensations is a unique version. It is a separate creation that takes place deep within each individual consciousness. This reveals that from the very beginning, at its root, sensation is not an objective, unchanging reality. It is the miraculous product of an intersection, the six sense organs, which are the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, coming into contact with the six sense objects, which are form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental phenomena, and from that contact arising the six consciousnesses, which are visual consciousness, auditory consciousness, olfactory consciousness, gustatory consciousness, tactile consciousness, and mental consciousness. In the profound teachings of Buddhism, this mechanism is explained in great detail. The eyes contacting form, which includes images and colors, give rise to visual consciousness, the act of seeing. The ears contacting sound give rise to auditory consciousness, the act of hearing. The nose contacting scent give rise to olfactory consciousness, the act of smelling. The tongue contacting taste give rise to gustatory consciousness, the act of tasting. The body contacting tangible objects, such as contact, temperature, and pressure, give rise to tactile consciousness, the act of touching. And finally, the mind contacting mental objects, such as thoughts and ideas, give rise to mental consciousness, the act of thinking and knowing. These six types of consciousness combine to form the complex world of sensations that we live in every single day. What is truly astonishing is that sensations do not arise on their own. They always require dependent origination. There would be no vision without light and form, no hearing without the vibration of air and sound, no touch without an object to contact. Everything relies on each other to come into being. And precisely because they depend on each other, they are all fragile and not enduring. If we look very carefully, we will see that sensations are like a mirror reflecting images. Place a mirror in front of a landscape, and the mirror will immediately reflect the scene. But that mirror does not retain or create the essence of the landscape. It only reflects. Our sensations function in a similar way. They reflect the external world, but the reflection itself is deeply colored by the mind in its current state, by memories of past impressions and experiences, and by karmic forces, which are the habits, actions, and causes and effects that have been planted. What we call joy, sadness, suffering, or pleasure is not the pure truth of the world, but rather the way our mind interprets and weaves together the raw, uncolored data from the senses. Recall a moment when you listened to a piece of music. If you were feeling happy and full of life, you might find that music soothing, profound, and relaxing. But if you listened to the same music on a day when you were in pain and despair, it could make you burst into sobs, feeling that everything was even heavier. The sound itself did not change at all, but the sensation shifted completely, turning 180 degrees. This proves that sensation does not come only from the outside, meaning the object, but largely is crafted from the inside, meaning the mind. From here, Buddhist teachings reveal a tremendously liberating truth: sensations are not absolute, they are only conditionally arisen. And if they are conditionally arisen, a temporary combination of various factors, then the joy of today cannot last forever, and the sadness of today is not eternal. Recognizing this gentle truth, we will reduce our clinging, lessen our attachment to what we call real or forever. People who are happy often fear that their joy will vanish, giving rise to a subtle anxiety. People who are suffering despair because they think that suffering will last endlessly. But when we clearly see that sensations are like waves rising and then subsiding on the surface of the ocean of the mind, we become much lighter. We are no longer bound by extreme judgments, no longer blindly controlled by emotions. The world of sensations, viewed from the outside, appears to be the most fundamental foundation of existence. But viewed through the light of wisdom in Buddhist teachings, it is only a thin veil, a mirror that continuously reflects and changes. Behind that fragile veil, there is a deeper, freer truth waiting for us to realize. Take a minute to calm your mind. If everything we perceive is only a reflection, then what is the true nature of the world? If sensations can deceive us, can change with every breath, then how can we distinguish what is truly real from what is merely an illusion? This very question is the door that opens to the great journey inward. Because only when we realize that the world of sensations is not solid can we dare to ask the bigger question: what guarantees that what we believe in and rely on is not just a dream passing through our lives? Have you ever seen a drawing where your eyes insist it is moving, even though in reality it is completely still? Or at times, you look at two parallel lines but perceive them as curving and about to touch each other. These phenomena, which seem like mere tricks of vision, actually reveal a profound truth about how the mind operates. Our brain does not simply record reality. It continuously fabricates, adds details, cuts away parts, and rearranges to create a sense of the world. And surprisingly, most of the time, we trust absolutely in those illusions, treating them as undeniable truth. Modern neuroscience calls this cognitive illusion, clear evidence that the brain's filter is not neutral. It organizes data, fills in information gaps, hides what is unimportant, and sometimes even builds things that do not exist at all. Meanwhile, Buddhist teachings from thousands of years ago have taught that what the eyes see, the ears hear, and the body touches is not absolute truth but only dependent origination. Two different paths leading to the same truth. We are living in a recreated version of reality. Imagine you are looking at a painting of swirling circles designed in a clever way. When you gaze at it, your brain, accustomed to the laws of motion in real life, adds information that the image is spinning, and you feel it truly spinning. Or with sound, sometimes you think you hear a complete melody, when in fact there are only a few scattered notes repeating. The brain pieces them together into a song. These examples raise a big question. If even our most reliable senses can deceive us so easily, then what is the real world we think we hold? Buddhist teachings connect this directly to the concept of delusion. Humans do not see the world as it is but only through the veil of sensations and perceptions created by the mind. We believe we see a green tree, hear birds singing, feel the wind touching us. But in truth, we are only contacting copies of them within our consciousness. This world, in a penetrating view, is not absolute reality but a compromise between external data and the internal restructuring by the mind itself. Furthermore, not only are there illusions of the senses, but sensations are also colored by something far more powerful: memory. There is an interesting thing we rarely observe. Sensations are not just reflections of the present but also pictures distorted by the past. What we call sensation is often not the pure truth but like a mirror that has been wiped incorrectly many times, covered in the dust of memories, then reflecting distorted images. Our sensations never stand alone. They are always enveloped, shaped, and colored by memories, habits, moods, and karmic forces. Try recalling the smell of a dish your mother cooked in childhood. Just a whiff brings back the entire childhood. But if we analyze it, today's smell is not exactly the same as the one from years ago. What moves us is not the scent molecules spreading now but our mind, through memory, recreating and repainting the sensation. This is the deep truth: sensations are not objective. They are always conditioned. For someone once bitten by a dog, the sound of barking later is no longer pure sound. It comes with feelings of unease, worry, fear. Whereas for a dog lover, barking carries a friendly, cute tone. The same phenomenon, but different sensations for each person because their memories have quietly repainted the picture of perception. If all sensations are influenced by memory, do we ever truly live in the present? Or do we always carry the past into every moment of our lives? When we drink a cup of tea, are we savoring the flavor of today's tea, or are we tasting again the chain of memories from past tea drinks? In Buddhist teachings, understanding memory's control over sensations is an important step on the path of letting go. We see that we are not an independent entity but only a collection of countless intertwined memories and sensations. Who am I? This question seems simple but is a maze. Because everything we think belongs to me, from joy and sadness to memories and thoughts, all originate from sensations. So does the self truly exist as an enduring entity, or is it only a temporary gathering of countless fleeting sensations? In Buddhist doctrine, a human is not defined by an unchanging self but analyzed into the 5 aggregates: form, which is the body; feeling, which is sensations; perception, mental formations; and consciousness. Among them, feeling plays an extremely important role. It is thanks to sensations that we say, I am happy, I am suffering, I am afraid. Without feeling, the notion of I could not appear. Imagine a day when no sensations touch us. Then, the I we stubbornly believe in would dissolve into emptiness. This shows that the self is not a fixed soul but only the result of a stream of sensations following one after another. They are like waves on the sea, one after another, constantly changing, no two the same. But from afar, we think there is an intact ocean. The self is a similar illusion. If sensations change every instant, a tiny moment, then the self has no inherent nature, no separate, fixed essence. We often believe there is an unchanging subject behind experiencing all sensations. But if we observe carefully, we see, there is no independent self doing the feeling, there are only sensations arising and passing away. Joy appears, we call it I am joyful. Sadness rises, we say I am sad. But in reality, I is nothing other than those sensations themselves. When sensations change, the self changes too. There is no eternal core to cling to. Try sitting quietly by a calm lake. Just one raindrop falls, the surface ripples, water bubbles rise, sparkle in the light, then vanish in an instant. Our sensations are like that. They arise, exist briefly, then disappear into silent space. Joy dissolves, sadness dissolves. Even pain that seems endless cannot last forever. They rise from the unconscious flow, flash in awareness, then sink to make way for another bubble. Buddhist teachings see this nature clearly through the concept of impermanence. No sensation exists eternally. They are short-lived phenomena, without inherent nature, without a solid core. Yet, because we do not see this, we suffer. We cling to joy, hoping it lasts. We resist sadness, hoping it goes away. If we can see sensations as bubbles on the lake, we will be less bound by them. Joy is a bubble, sadness is a bubble. Pain or pleasure are just thin ripples of water. When we have severe toothache, we think the pain will never end. But one day, it disappears. The joy of first achieving what we want seems never to fade, but it passes too. Everything follows the rhythm of arising and ceasing, rising then vanishing. If we cling tightly to a bubble, we suffer when it bursts. But if we see its temporary nature clearly, we let go lightly. We know bubbles are born to burst, so we do not place wrong expectations on them. When joyful, we smile appreciating the moment but do not cling. When sad, we breathe gently letting sadness come and go without resistance. Silence is not a passive or numb state. On the contrary, it is an extremely vibrant, subtle state where every phenomenon appears clearly like clouds in a clear sky. When sensations no longer dominate, we see the true nature of the mind, see the impermanence and no-self of all phenomena. Silence is the door to nirvana, where all clinging dissolves. If sensations are water bubbles, what makes them appear continuously? What is the root causing bubbles to rise layer after layer on the lake of consciousness? In Buddhist teachings, the answer is karma. Karma is not punishment or reward in the usual sense but an invisible force, a subtle flow of cause and effect that makes sensations appear in specific ways. Every action, word, thought plants seeds in the soil of consciousness. Those seeds sprout, grow, and produce sensation bubbles on the mind's lake. Planting bad causes, harsh words, unjust actions, habits of anger. These create unstable, vulnerable mind soil. The result is sensations of worry and fear arising naturally. Planting good causes, compassionate actions, tolerance, sincere words. The mind soil becomes fertile, full of positive energy. The result is sensations of peace and calm appearing more often. Karma is our habits, lifestyle, environment, and mental choices. A person often living in anxiety will tend to experience more negative sensations because their mind is accustomed to those patterns. Karma also explains why the same event creates different sensations in different people. Two people see the same painting, one feels peace, the other emptiness. Not because the painting changes, but because the mind soil where karma seeds are planted differs. Today's sensations are the result of the past, and tomorrow's can be created by today's actions, words, and thoughts. Understanding this, we see that practice is not abstract theory but a method to transform sensations. In practice, we do not try to eliminate sensations but learn to plant good seeds, care for the mind soil so that arising sensation bubbles bring peace and compassion. Practice is training the mind to recognize sensations, observe them arise and disappear without clinging or resisting. Meditation, in the essence of Buddhist teachings, is not a technique to gain pleasure or avoid suffering but the art of observing sensations subtly to see their arising and ceasing nature without being swept away. Mindfulness is the ability to know each sensation, each experience right in the present moment. It is like a small lamp but bright enough to illuminate every phenomenon arising in the mind, from the subtlest sensations to the strongest emotions. With mindfulness, we see clearly each moment unfolding, each breath, each emotion. We only observe and know, without trying to change or judge. When sadness, anger, worry arise, mindfulness helps us recognize them as they are born. Instead of reacting habitually and being carried away, we observe, know, and understand their arising and ceasing nature. Anger comes, we see it born from a situation, a thought, from the combination of body and mind conditions, and then anger passes. Pain or unease appears and vanishes the same way. In practicing mindfulness, sensations are no longer the boss we obey but objects to observe and learn from. We no longer identify every experience with the self, no longer cling to joy or flee from pain. We learn to let go, learn to live fully in each moment. Mindfulness is the guiding lamp, illuminating every layer of sensations, helping us see clearly the impermanence and no-self of all phenomena. Thanks to mindfulness, sensations become a waking dream where every arising is observed, without clinging, without fear, without desire. Craving, which is wanting and longing, is one of the three mental poisons: greed, hatred, delusion. It is a mental fire that burns every sensation, every thought, making people spin madly in the cycle of desire and suffering. Craving turns initial pleasant sensations into clinging, longing to possess, leading to pain when loss occurs or things do not go as wished. But opposite to the fire of craving, there is a sensation with liberating power, making the mind serene, light, and full of love, that is compassion. Compassion in the core of Buddhist teachings is not merely affection but a wide-open sensation, encompassing, embracing all suffering without distinction. When compassion arises, consciousness is no longer limited in the small self, in desires or fears, but expands to recognize and understand the pain of all beings as one's own pain. In meditation, compassion is nurtured by observation and recognition. When one's own sensations are recognized, we begin to see others' sensations also arise and cease, also seek happiness, also fear suffering. And from there, loving kindness arises naturally. Compassion is like a cool breeze blowing over the lake, soothing arising sensation bubbles, calming storms, bringing inner peace. Compassion also helps break the small I, the ego that always clings to private sensations. One's own joy or pain is no longer the absolute center but part of a no-self flow where all sensations appear and disappear. Compassion is not blind sympathy but recognizing and accepting reality, allowing sensations to arise and pass so the mind becomes free. This is the sensation leading to liberation, where all possessive desires, all anger, all fears are seen and released. Finally, all discoveries about sensations, from their fragility to the power of mindfulness and compassion, point to an ultimate truth: all sensations are not the final goal. Joy and suffering, liking and disliking, pain or happiness, all are rising and ceasing phenomena in the flow of impermanence. When clinging to them, we are pulled into the vicious cycle of suffering. But when recognizing that all sensations are temporary, without separate inherent nature, we open the possibility to transcend all arising sensations, reaching absolute freedom. The ultimate goal in Buddhist teachings is to see clearly the emptiness of all phenomena. Emptiness is not nothingness but the realization that all phenomena do not exist independently, have no fixed essence, arise from conditions and dissolve with conditions. When seeing this clearly, all sensations become light like a passing breeze. Joy is no longer a reason to cling, pain no longer something to avoid. Craving is no longer a pulling force. All sensations are recognized but no longer dominate, no longer create clinging suffering or joy, but only phenomena passing in the natural flow of the mind. This is absolute freedom. No longer clinging to joy and sadness, no longer pulled by pleasure and pain. The mind returns to its inherent clarity in everyone. No birth, no death, no gain, no loss. All sensations, strong or weak, become phenomena to observe, no longer master or slave. Right in this moment, all arising sensations, all desires, all sufferings, all pleasures merge into clarity, no distinction, no clinging, and the true nature of the mind appears in every breath, every second of the present. The world of sensations with all its complexity, contradictions, and diversity is only a door to liberation. When transcending them, when seeing clearly impermanence and no-self, we reach absolute freedom. The world of sensations, from the smallest vibrations to the greatest sufferings, are only waves rising and then vanishing on the lake of consciousness. When we pause, breathe deeply, look into the sensation present right now, we suddenly realize they no longer have the binding power we once thought. Joy or sadness, love or anger, all come and go like a breeze across the sky. If we let the mind rest in mindfulness, sensations become gentle teachers, teaching lessons on impermanence, letting go, freedom. And when we open our hearts, nurture compassion, sensations become doors taking us beyond the ego, merging into the infinite vastness of life. The miracle is not in eliminating all sensations but in seeing clearly their fragile nature, then smiling as we pass through. Like a person dreaming but knowing they dream, we live lighter, more freely, more at ease. Now, close your eyes, let every whispered word melt into silence. Let your mind flow with slow breaths, release all entanglements. Sleep peacefully, in a world no longer shadowed by dominating sensations. To deepen this exploration, consider how ancient Buddhist texts like the Visuddhimagga, a comprehensive manual on meditation compiled in the 5th century by Buddhaghosa, elaborate extensively on the process of sense contact and the arising of consciousness. It describes in meticulous stages how each sense door interacts with its object, producing momentary consciousness that vanishes almost immediately, emphasizing the rapid, impermanent nature of these events. This text, drawing from earlier Pali canons, provides practical exercises for meditators to observe these processes directly, such as noting the arising of visual consciousness when the eye meets a form under sufficient lighting conditions, reinforcing that without the convergence of sense organ, object, and consciousness, no sensation occurs. Furthermore, contemporary studies in cognitive science align remarkably with these insights. For instance, research by psychologists like Daniel Kahneman on prospect theory shows how human decisions and feelings are influenced not by absolute values but by perceived changes and references from past experiences, mirroring how memories tint sensations. Neuroimaging studies using functional magnetic resonance imaging reveal that the brain's default mode network activates during mind-wandering, reconstructing past events and projecting future ones, thus constantly altering present perceptions. Experiments on optical illusions, such as the famous Miller-Lyer illusion where two equal lines appear unequal due to arrowheads, demonstrate the brain's predictive coding, where prior expectations shape what we see, echoing Buddhist warnings against taking sensory data at face value. In therapeutic contexts, mindfulness-based stress reduction programs, developed by John Kabat-Zinn in the late 1970s, have been clinically proven through randomized trials to reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression by teaching participants to observe sensations non-judgmentally. Meta-analyses of over 100 studies indicate significant improvements in emotional regulation, with effect sizes comparable to traditional therapies, illustrating how observing sensations as transient can diminish their grip. Expanding on karma, the Abhidharma traditions detail how volitional actions create latent tendencies that ripen under appropriate conditions, much like seeds needing soil, water, and sunlight. Modern epigenetics offers a parallel, showing how experiences can modify gene expression without altering DNA, influencing future responses to stimuli, akin to karmic imprints affecting sensation patterns. Compassion practices, such as loving-kindness meditation, have been studied in laboratories where participants viewing images of suffering show increased activity in brain regions associated with empathy, like the insula, and reduced amygdala response to stress, fostering emotional resilience. Long-term meditators exhibit thicker prefrontal cortex areas linked to attention and compassion, providing neurological evidence for the transformative power of these sensations. Ultimately, the realization of emptiness, as expounded in Nagarjuna's 2nd century Madhyaka philosophy, argues through logical analysis that phenomena lack inherent existence because they arise dependently, a view supported by quantum physics observations where particles exist in superposition until observed, challenging classical notions of independent reality. These layers of ancient wisdom and modern inquiry converge, inviting us to question, observe, and liberate ourselves from the illusory solidity of sensations, stepping into a profound, unbound awareness.